Answer this question for me, if you will. How much time does our industry have left? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, my perspective, and you're not going to want to miss a second of this video, and you're going to want to make sure to watch all the way to the end. I asked a very polarizing question in my online Facebook group community called Figure Medicare Agent that's closing in on 10,000 members, Medicare agents from all over the country and all different walks of life. How much longer does our industry have left? And I got an entirely polarized differences of opinions that just flooded onto the comment section, right? And it was fascinating to kind of see everybody's different perspectives, right? Perspectives all the way from, we will always be necessary. And when I say our industry, I don't mean insurance, but I mean the Medicare space, right? Being a Medicare specialized insurance broker, brokerage, agency owner, being able to represent multiple different Medicare insurance carriers, right? That type of deal. I mean, maybe you could throw ACA into this as well, right? A health insurance broker, let's call it that. I'm not specifically talking about insurance in general, but let's talk about our niche, right? Our niche, which most of you probably follow me for, which is health insurance, Medicare, etc. How much time do we have, right? And when I say that, people are like, what do you mean? How much time do we have? But anyway, in the comment section, we're seeing, perspectives all the way from we're always going to be needed. We're always going to be necessary to think we only have 1 or 2 years left, which I vehemently disagree with. I'll give you guys my perspective. I think the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But before we kind of dive into this, the first question is, what is the most likely threat to us as agents, right? What is the biggest thing that could potentially cause us to not be needed or potentially be phased out, right? We're going into an AEP where a slew of different, Part D prescription drug plans are going to the non-commissionable model, commissions being lowered. We all know kind of what we saw with WellCare, essentially pulling all commissions, past, previous, and future, on their individual standalone Part D prescription drug plans. And we're seeing CMS final rules, right? Targeting administrative compensation from the FMOs and things like that. I mean, this year in general, if there's ever been a year to kind of make you question the future of our space, I believe this year probably is it, right? There's a lot of people that I know that, maybe they dabbled in Medicare or ACA or something like that. And they're completely pivoting to new different options and new different opportunities because they just don't feel like long-term there's a viable chance that there's a future in what we do. The biggest likelihoods that people talk about of kind of eradicating us is government regulation, right? Government regulation squeezing us out. Carriers figuring out or maybe getting to a point where their systems are so sophisticated, that maybe they can acquire new clients without us at all, right? Maybe we're too much of a risk, right? We're third-party independent contractors that they don't have as much control over as they do their own internal employees and systems and everything like that. We're just too much of a liability, right? From that standpoint, we can kind of make them look really bad and they don't have as much control. Maybe, and just maybe, it's technology innovations, such as AI. AI maybe being able to come in and be able to shop plan options for people, and a human being isn't even necessary anymore. Maybe it's the government going so extreme to developing a single-payer healthcare system to where health insurance is not really even necessary anymore. And if it's available in a lot of countries that have single-payer systems, it's available as, a luxury, right? Instead of a necessity like it is today in our country, in the United States, right? So these are the things that people talk about the most, right? It's technological innovations, it's government regulation, government overhaul, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Medicare running out of money, potentially, right? The trust fund going dry, which I've been hearing my entire life. I'll give you guys a perspective that I have that might be a little bit unique that not all of you may have had. Now, some of you that are watching this have been in this business 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, 40 years for some of you potentially. As many of you know, I grew up with a parent that was in the Medicare business. My father was a broker. He was a broker for probably 4 or 5 years before I was even born. He got into the business in the late 80s, early 90s. And so my entire life, I grew up with my dad being a Medicare agent, right? A Medicare specialized insurance agent. And one thing that we always heard, even from the time that I was a little kid, and some of my earliest memories, was fear of Medicare going away, Medicare running out of money, some kind of public healthcare system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Carriers finding a way to, do business without us and trying to phase us out. All of these concerns and fears were things I heard about in the 90s as a child, okay? And, I was born in 1992, right? So in the 90s, one of the earliest memories I have of being kind of a big scare and a big fear was that of Hillary Care when Bill was in office, right? Hillary Care was a thing. It was a political talking point at that point in time. And I have memories of that because it so severely had impact and influence over my family and our ability to take care of ourselves, okay? It got so bad that at one point the fear was so bad, I should say. I mean, it wasn't actually anything boded in reality. Hindsight's always 20/20. But the fear of it was so severe that my father even went out and got a P&C license at one point in time, spent a few months trying to pivot into that, and then ended up pivoting back into Medicare and health insurance. Obviously, none of those fears ever transpired, right? Going into the early 2000s, 2005, 2006, Medicare Advantage comes out, Part D comes out, and the industry really does take an explosion. At that point, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Into the 2010s, it continues to grow. And we've seen huge businesses come up over the time where there were certain people, certain individuals that never really took it too seriously, or they never went full pedal to the metal with it. They never went all in because they were afraid that what if it goes away? What if something happens? When at that same time, they could have just been capitalizing on the opportunity, right? There are people that got in this business in 2013, 14, 15, 16 that built massive businesses over 5, 6, 7 years and then exited, right, already. So just to kind of give a little bit of perspective, I've heard these rumors, fears, scares my entire adult life. I really have. Now, so I'm a little hardened by them. I don't take them as seriously as maybe a person that's brand new that never has gone through this before, right? I've heard these things for 30 years of my life, okay? Practically my whole life. Now, not only does it impact my family as a kid, it impacts me and my family, right? As an agent, an agency owner, an insurance tycoon, if you will. I like that title. If I ever get a Wikipedia page, I'd prefer it say that, insurance tycoon. But that being said, right, I don't think you can ignore the things that we're seeing this year, right? Because of the Inflation Reduction Act, a lot of carriers are going into reduced pay on prescription drug plans, no pay at all. There's certain regional Medicare Advantage carriers that just have completely cut overrides altogether because of final rule, even though despite it's in a stay status. And, there's a lot of uncertainty going on right now. My perspective, and I'll give you my perspective, I do think that our industry, if I'm being completely honest with you, does have an expiration date of some kind. And do I know whether it's going to be the government or technology that's going to cause this? Maybe it's a combination of the two. I can't say. Now, do I think it's going to be in 1 or 2 years or 5 years or even 10 years? I don't. But I do think at some point it will happen. But if I had to guess, if I had to look into my crystal ball where I am just completely guessing, I think it'll be longer out than a lot of people think. It might be 15 years. It might be 10 years at the shortest, right? Might be 15 years, might be 20 years. And the reason I say that is because what I've observed over the years is, number one, clients need help. Medicare is confusing. If you think about yourself kind of coming in as a new agent, right? If you've been doing this a long time, you think about how overwhelmed and confused you might have been trying to learn all this stuff. Your clients are just that much more. I think there's real value in real agencies. And I think that, for those of us that do business the right way, there's a tremendous use for us. Now, I do believe that timeline gets shortened if there's not enough agencies that are building their businesses the right way and being a great value and almost irreplaceable to their clients. I feel like if everything moves into a place where it's less relationship-based and more transactional, we're easier to replace, point blank. So I would be evaluating your business model, right? If you want a business that's built to last, you need to create a business model that is not transactional, that your clients feel like they just can't leave you because they don't want to give up everything that you and your organization and your agency bring to the table. I do believe that, this is kind of, we're at a point where this is kind of a teeter-totter a little bit, right? We went through a little bit of time where the Trump administration's in the White House, they appoint a CMS commissioner that really kind of pulled back regulations. That was great for business growth. but maybe not so great from the standpoint that, a lot of shit was allowed to fly, right? Then the Biden administration comes in, they pull out the CMS commissioner, they put in a new CMS commissioner. For those of you that don't know, the presidential White House appoints the CMS commissioner. It's appointed presidential cabinet position, okay, governmental appointed position by the president. So they put in a new CMS commissioner that reflects more kind of what the Biden administration is about, which is more regulation, more rules, tightening, restricting, right? Making it harder to do business. And that's what we've seen the last 3 years with yearly final rules and unprecedented CMS overreach, which, does it solve the problems going on? I would say no, but they don't know how to solve the problems. That's the problem. The problem is they don't know how to solve the problems. And so I think it's a reaction, right? Anytime you have an extreme on one side, let's say, we had an extreme for 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years of less regulation, and it caused the customer experience to get bad, right? Lots of calls, cold calls, deceptive marketing practices, Joe Namath, all this kind of stuff leads to a poor customer experience, increases complaints to CMS. Then the pendulum swings the other way, and now we're at a point where it's an overcorrection. It's too regulated. I do believe, what we're doing right now as agency owners is going to set the table. It's going to set the stage for how much longer our industry is looked at as valuable and necessary. I do think it is up to us, but I do think there probably at some point is an expiration date. If I had to put my money on it, I think eventually we'll probably get to a mixture of technology, AI, and maybe some kind of public government option that essentially ends up dealing the blow. Does that mean there's not opportunity in this business? Absolutely not. I believe there's opportunity in this business, but I do believe if you're just sitting around and, dorking around and you're thinking that it's going to be here forever, I would not take that approach. I think that there's a lot of opportunity to do a lot of business. And, I believe we're going to be able to, really do well with that if we take it seriously. But if you had to have me make a guess, if you put a gun to my head and really push me into a corner, I'd say we do have an expiration date. Do I think it's going to be in 2 or 3 years? No, that's outrageous. I think it's going to be 5 years? No. I think it's going to be 10 years? Probably not. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Do I think it's going to be 50 years, 60 years? I don't know if it makes it that long. We'll have to see. But I'm willing and prepared to contribute to doing business the right way and setting a good example with my company of how valuable agents and brokers can be with how we deal with clients, with how we train agents. And I think that's the best thing we can do for our industry's survival. Make sure that you're shining a good light, and make sure that when you see people that aren't, that you're kind of calling it out. Not filing complaints, that's not what I mean by that, but making sure that it's well known that the difference between the bad actors and the people doing things the right way. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please do me a favor. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It's going to help so many more people just like you who need to hear this information find it easier. Comment below. Comment below and, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to have a dialogue with you about this. And subscribe for more videos just like this. We're on the brink of AEP. Hope this video finds you doing well, prepared, and good luck on a great selling season, everybody. We'll see you on the next video. Here's to your success and your abundance, and looking forward to a bright future in the next couple of decades. Thanks, guys.